Hi, my name is Amy, and today I wanted to talk to you about the solar eclipse happening on October 14th in the constellation of Virgo in Citra Nakshatra. So, first of all, I just wanted to say that I really don't understand why people would want to watch an astrological event that is highly inauspicious materially, physically, and also that potentially and most surely would leave you blind. But hey, that's just me and I guess logic, even with the glasses that you're supposed to be safe watching the eclipse, why would you want to watch something that would potentially leave you blind, and also that it has been proven throughout history that it brings up a lot of upheaval and chaos and instability materially? Although spiritually it is very auspicious because spirituality is internal. So if you do spiritual practices, if you remain inside your center and you're not exposed to the eclipse, then obviously it might be good for you, because spiritual practices are more powerful during eclipse period, and you may receive spiritual blessings. But at a material level, I'm going to speak about why solar eclipses are not auspicious. So a solar eclipse is a celestial event where the moon passes between the earth and the sun, and that would be blocking partially the sun's disk. So during a solar annular eclipse, the moon is too far away from the earth and it leaves about like a ring of fire, and that's why it's called annular eclipse. This eclipse will be visible from North America in the United States and partially from Canada, and also Central America and South America. The path of annularity, which is the shadow that will fall on the earth of this ring of fire eclipse, will cover from Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, and then Mexico, passing through Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Colombia, and Brazil. And Panama. Why is it not auspicious to look at an eclipse or to be exposed to an eclipse energy? Because the sun represents the ego, the personal power, leadership, royalty, pride. It represents health. It gives life. It's the yang principle, the active principle. It's the masculinity principle, the divine masculine principle. So the sun gives life. The sun is also spirituality and your soul, the representation of your soul. So when the sun is blocked because of the shadow of the moon, or also involvement with the nodes, obviously, what happens is that all of those significations are blocked. So the giving life representation or signification of the sun is blocked. The leadership is blocked. The ego might be blocked. That would be a good thing, but that would be spirituality. Power would be blocked. So these things on earth have a very material meaning and a very real one too. So where the shadow of the eclipse is going to happen in these countries, it also has to do where the eclipse is happening, in which constellation. So the constellation of Virgo is the representative of the sixth house, and its element is earth, so material things. And the sixth house is the house of work and habits and health and service and colleagues or employees, the workplace, routines, lifestyle, nutrition, diet, fitness, hygiene, responsibilities, the sixth house. But it's also the house of enemies. And it could be internal enemies, but those internal enemies are exposed on the outside as well. And Virgo, the constellation of Virgo, is the perfectionist. So the sixth house and the perfectionist, which is analytical, planning, and hardworking, helpful, detail-oriented, responsible, could be critical. And Mercury is the ruler of Virgo and the natural sixth house. So Mercury represents learning and the intellect, communication, messages, transportation, travel, education, research, information. Mercury is the prince. So this eclipse, even if it happens in Virgo, which is the earth element, with Mercury in it, because Mercury is in it, it's going to affect also Gemini. But mostly it's going to affect the trines of the sixth house of the earth signs, which are the 10th house, the natural 10th house, and the natural second house. So it's going to affect money, it's going to affect status, it's going to affect power, it's going to affect stability. How is it going to affect people? Everybody has their own chart, and in their own chart, these houses are different houses. Not everybody has the sixth house in Virgo, not everybody has the second house in Taurus, and not everybody has Capricorn in the 10th house. So depending on your karma and depending on where these signs, zodiac signs, are in your birth chart, you could have positive or negative effects. But collectively, this is what I'm explaining. So collectively, the natural second, sixth, and 10th house are affected, and this affects power, it affects money, economy, it affects stability, it affects agriculture, because Virgo represents also agriculture. And the countries where this is happening, agriculture could suffer losses. There could be a change of power. So established presidents can, change to another president. For example, in Nicaragua, there has been a president since 2006, I believe, and he has been, I think it's Ortega. Yes, there have been human rights violations by this president, and he's been there since 2006. So there could be a change in power somehow there. Also, it could be in the United States. There could be a change in power as well, or there could be a reform. There could be competitors also, that there are situations going on with the justice system, Supreme Court, and past president like ex-President Trump. Major changes could happen in the labor department, collective level. So there's already like a recession in place. So maybe in the workplace, there could be major changes, like the workload could be elevated, and money could be same, the inflation can go up. Like there's some instability, but there's some changes going on, and things that could lead to upheaval and protests from the workers. And because the sixth house represents employees, so there is that that potential for protest in these countries where the shadow of the eclipse is going to happen, and major changes happening, whether the labor, like I think the president of Colombia said that he was thinking about a labor reform. So this could be happening also at a collective worldwide level. I think labor should be reviewed, and the representative of labor is Saturn, because Saturn is the ruler of the natural 10th house, which is Capricorn. Okay, so we have Capricorn here, and Saturn is right now in Aquarius, which is a humanitarian sign, and it's where he's in Mula Tricona in Aquarius. Saturn rules Aquarius and rules Capricorn, and is currently retrograde. So there's a review of this. There's a review of these two houses, which are the natural 10th house and the natural 11th house. So for humanity, the work, the labor, there's a demand or a collective feeling of this needs to change. This is not fair. We should be able to work from anywhere. We should be able to have more free time. We should be able to move or do things that are meaningful, that will benefit society. So this is what's happening right now, and this eclipse kind of puts that into perspective. And the south node is in Libra, in like 0 degrees Citra, which is almost in Virgo. And the sun and the moon and Mercury are in the last degrees of Virgo. So it has an involvement of Libra, which is the mediator, and which is like searching for balance in this situation. And the south node represents karmic past, so unfinished business and past and limitation. And this is what we're trying to break through with this eclipse. Is going to break through that. So you need to understand that it's going to bring upheaval and probably conflict and power struggles, but it will result in change, and change should be for the better. So also businesses will be affected because the south node is in Libra, which is the 7th house of partnerships, and Mars is there. So there could be a rise also in divorce, because Mars and south node are very fiery planets, and they're conjunct in Libra, which is the 7th house of partnerships, which represents the spouse but also represents businesses. So there could be conflicts also there. And the north node is in Aries with retrograde Jupiter. So there's a review of limiting beliefs there. In Aries. And already North Node is in Aries, is like destiny. Here it is. North Node in Aries is destiny, but it's also at 0 degrees 51 minutes, and it's in the Gandanta zone. So Gandanta is a very it's where water sign changes into fire sign, and the North Node is always retrograde as well as the South Node, so it is going from fire to water. And it's all about challenges and karma and learning curves. So North Node not necessarily placed nice. It's also the ruler of the 11th house, co-ruling with Saturn. So it has some ruling with the diplomats. So there could be scandals and situations with diplomats. For example, in Canada, there has been currently a situation with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and India. And it has resulted in them sending back their diplomats to their own countries. It's a situation created by the North Node and also Saturn, and the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, is currently ongoing his Sadesati period. Let's now verify how in the past, when there was another solar eclipse in the constellation of Virgo, was in the year 2004, on October 14th in 2004. So let us see. It happened on a Thursday, which is ruled by Jupiter, a solar eclipse in Virgo in October 14th, 2004. And immediately on the same day of the eclipse, Prince Norodom Sihamoni was named the new king of Cambodia after his father abdicated on October 7th, so like a week before the eclipse. And the British government froze Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, Tawhid and Jihad, which claimed responsibility for killing Kenneth Bigley. Israel PM Ariel Sharon accepted the plan to withdraw troops from the Gaza Strip, and people protest. The conflict in Iraq, the U.S. launched airstrikes in the rebel city of Fallujah, and Iraqi insurgents carried out 2 bomb attacks in the Green Zone where the U.S. Military facilities and the Iraqi government offices were. Russia and China signed an agreement settling a border dispute that they had, and the European Human Rights Court agrees to hear Chechen civilian cases against Russia. There was a Boeing 747 crash in Nova Scotia in Halifax, and Indonesia prosecutes Abu Bakar Bashir, alleging involvement in bombing in the Jakarta hotel and the Bali terrorist bombing. This was just on the day of the eclipse, but immediately after that, just to go over major events, Tabaré Vázquez was elected the president of Uruguay on the 31st of October. The Ukraine presidential elections result in Viktor Yanukovych and Viktor Yushchenko, a close runoff on November 21st. But there was a controversy about election fraud. And you see this happened in the constellation of Virgo in 2004, October 14. And now we're on October 14 in 2023, and there's a war with Ukraine. So this is unfinished business for Ukraine. Something's going to happen that is going to maybe finish this situation with Ukraine. But it was a very uphill battle for President Viktor Yushchenko, Prime Minister Viktor Yushchenko to obtain the presidency, because there was an election fraud and there was a scandal, and there was went to the Supreme Court, and the international community had a lot to do with it and had say in it, that there should be other elections because there was election fraud, and supervision was there. Like 12,000 international observers went to the election where Viktor Yushchenko was finally elected president. George Bush also won the presidential election, and there was a conflict between Israel and Palestine, and Yasser Arafat died in Paris. The Lebanese ex-prime minister Rafik Hariri, he resigned first, and afterwards he was assassinated along with 21 others in a suicide bomb in Beirut. Pope John Paul II died, and Pope Benedict XVI succeeds him on April 19. And there was a solar eclipse on April 8 in 2005. And on April 9, Prince Charles, the current United Kingdom king, married Camilla Parker Bowles. And April 26, Syria withdraws from Lebanon, ending 29 years of military occupation. So this is just an example of things that happen during eclipses. Also, natural disasters happen, like earthquakes and tsunamis and tornadoes and hurricanes and a lot of things. So currently, what is going on in these countries? In the United States, there's a recession, and there could be a transition in power. Also, for example, in Guatemala, elections took place recently in August, and there were allegations of election fraud again. And also there's protests going on right now. So that's to be concluded what's going to happen in Guatemala regarding that. And Honduras has been having severe drought, flooding, coastal erosion, and people are starving, and they are migrating en masse to the United States and to find better opportunities. So the government there is trying to protect the environment, but there are activists that their lives are in danger when they try to protect the environment because of corrupt officials and the police. In Nicaragua, like I said before, the human rights violations by President Daniel Ortega's government, who has been in power since 2006 and has stripped dissidents of their properties and their nationality, exiling them to other countries without their documentation, and also seizing the properties of universities, saying that these universities are terrorist organizations, and seizing their property. So like the students don't have anywhere to study, don't have anywhere to go. So those people are also leaving, forced by the government as dissidents. If they're not killed there or disappear, they have to also find a better life in other countries. Panama is suffering severe drought also, and in an attempt to control a huge amount of illegal migration coming from Colombia, but also maybe from other countries nearby, but just that Colombia is closer, and they cross the Darien Gap, which links Panama and Colombia through there, surpassing more than 400,000 people from different nationalities, mostly Venezuelan, Haitian, and probably from Nicaragua and Honduras. And in northern Brazil, there's also a severe drought caused by climate change, which is expected to worsen during October. And it has dried up the river 7.4 meters, and hundreds of river dolphins have died because of the heat. And the eclipse will end in the Atlantic Ocean. So also marine life there will be affected somehow. They will be ill, they can die. And this is just already happening there in Brazil with the dolphins, which is a terrible tragedy that I beg all of you, please be more conscious, be more aware of how you can reduce your carbon footprint, because we need to lower the temperature of the earth. So that is what I have for you regarding the solar annular eclipse on October 14 in the constellation of Virgo in Citra Nakshatra. And I recommend that you don't go out during the eclipse, and that you don't eat during the eclipse or drink water during the eclipse, which is best to fast. Take a shower after the eclipse. Chant Om Namah Shivaya Namo Mallikarjunaya. Chant the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Chant Om Grini Vivashwan Aditya. Or you can chant Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye. Also, these are things that you can do during the eclipse. You can also meditate. It is very powerful to meditate during the eclipse. It is also Sarva Pitri Shraddha, so remember to honor your ancestors performing Tarpana or going to mass at church or doing your pujas at temple for your ancestors. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you don't try and go out and look at the eclipse. But if you do, at least you can't say I didn't tell you. So, and you can also verify all this information that I've given you online. You can Google it yourself if you would like. After any eclipse, what situations happen at a worldwide level. Om Namah Shivaya.